was walking upstairs to give my dad a goodnight kiss before going to bed when suddenly I heard a loud crash from his room. Oh my god, Dad! I can't show you what happened because it's too much for YouTube, but I can tell you that the last words my dad said were, the attic, before he fell into a coma. Hi, I'm Miley, and I live in Finland. I'm sure everyone will learn something from my story. That's why I decided to share it on this channel. I felt the world crashing down around me. Ever since Mom and my older siblings had left, Dad was the only family I'd had. I knew they hated him, but I had to tell them about this. After all, he was their dad too. I called Katie and she seemed too busy screaming at her loser boyfriend to even pay attention and just hung up. I tried Bree next, and she said she was really busy at work and I had to deal with this myself. These girls were just heartless. I called my brother Ed next. He wasn't too happy to hear from me. What? Wow, no hello. Dad's in a coma and Yeah, I know why you're calling. I don't care about him. And don't even think about asking me for money. With that, he hung up. I just stared at the phone. What had just happened? I was on my own. No wonder Dad disowned them. Just then, the doctor came in and told me how expensive it would be to keep Dad at the hospital, and I needed to come up with the money very soon. Later that evening, as I was going through his stuff, I suddenly remembered Dad's last words, and I rushed up to the attic. I opened a box with Dad's stuff in it. There was a document in there with instructions for me. I had to meet a guy called Eric and use the secret word green apple. I quickly called the number it said and agreed to meet him the following day. I couldn't wait for school to be over the next day so I could meet this Eric guy and figure out what the big secret was. I was so lost in my thoughts I didn't even see Chris when he sat next to me. Thinking about me, are you? You wish. I'm so sorry about your dad. If you need anything at all, you let me know. I'd do anything for a beautiful girl like you. I smiled and nodded. Chris and I had grown up together, but lately I was getting butterflies every time I saw him. Oh, snap out of it, Miley. As soon as the bell rang, I was out the door. Eric had told me to wait for him on the park bench beneath a big tree. I felt like a secret agent as I waited for him. After a while, some guy came over and sat next to me. I jumped when he spoke to me. What's your favorite fruit? Was this guy crazy? Oh, wait. Green apple? The guy took off his cap and introduced himself as Eric. Okay, he was definitely not what I was expecting. I was expecting an old guy with wrinkles, but this guy was babelicious. I was already picturing our wedding. I just wanted to make sure. Oh, I'm sure. What? I'm sure you wanted to be sure. Why couldn't my brain and tongue work together? Yeah, anyway, your dad's $28 million is all yours. It'll take a few days to sort out, okay? What? $28 million? He must think I'm slow or something. Yeah, sure. You might want to have an adult with you to sort this out as you're under 18. I ran off after the meeting, still reeling with shock. This was too much to handle. I couldn't think of anyone else, so I texted Ed. Of course, he didn't reply. In the evening, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I was shocked to see Ed with his wife and kids. And so many suitcases? What are you doing here? Come on, little sis. Did you really think I'd leave you alone to deal with this? Now be a doll and set up a room for us. Ed's wife and kids just went on in and made themselves right at home. A little while later, the doorbell rang again. I ran downstairs, and to my surprise, Bree, my older sister, walked in, dumping her bags in the doorway. You can take these up, right? Thanks. Bree worked for a fashion magazine and could easily be on the cover of one, but she was so rude and stuck up, we'd never gotten along. She hugged Ed and gave air kisses to his wife and kids. Oh, aren't you guys cute? No, hey, don't touch my bag. That cost more than your parents' car. She said she was really tired and had to get her 10 hours of beauty sleep, so she went straight up and set up camp in my room. Bree, this is my room. Go and sleep in the guest room. It used to be my room, and it gets the best sunlight. I gotta do my yoga early in the morning. Now get out. I grabbed my stuff and slammed the door. I was halfway down the stairs when Bree started screaming. When I opened the door, I couldn't stop laughing. Get this monster away from me! Relax, Bree. Meet Tiny. He's my pet. Bree grabbed her blanket and rushed out of the room. I gave Tiny an extra treat for getting rid of that evil witch. The next morning, as I was about to get ready, the little devils pushed their way into the bathroom and ran off with a toothpaste. As I ran after them, I felt like something had stabbed me in the foot. Damn these Legos. I hobbled to my room and quickly ran out of the house to get away from all the madness. I told Chris about how my siblings had shown up and how annoying they were. Don't worry, babe, I'll come over and help you. Right now, I just needed help staying awake in class. I barely slept the night before. I just felt so overwhelmed. The day flew by and I sleepwalked through most of it. As I was walking home, I saw Eric outside a coffee shop. My heart skipped a beat as I saw him. I didn't want him to think I was stalking him, but just as I was about to walk away, he waved to me. Hey, I've been waiting for you to call me. Was I being pranked? Eric had been expecting me to call? Have you decided about what you want to do with the money? Yeah, we're still figuring it out. He asked me to join him for coffee. I had no idea what he was talking about. I was lost in his beautiful eyes. I was so happy when he offered to walk me home because I could listen to this guy's voice forever. When we got home and he turned to say goodnight, he suddenly leaned in towards me. Oh my God, was he about to kiss me? I closed my eyes and suddenly felt him rub my cheek. Got it. There was something on your face. Good night. And he just left. Man, I was so disappointed. As I opened the door, I tripped and fell. Katie, my other sister. She was very gangster. Was that a new tattoo on her arm? As I stood up, I saw she was very pregnant. Where's your stupid boyfriend? We split up because he decided he can't be a daddy, and I don't have the money to have this baby alone. I should have known. Only money could have brought all of them here. As I walked into the lounge, I was horrified. I looked at Ed's wife, thinking she'd stop them, but no. I told her to make them behave, but she just shrugged and kept filing her nails. I hope she breaks her nails, the airhead. Suddenly there was a loud crash, and I saw in horror that the younger idiot had knocked over the angel ornament Dad had given to me. I was furious and devastated. Chris! I was so grateful to see him heading towards the back door, and I went running to the kitchen. I broke down in front of him. He put his arms around me and hugged me. I could hear his heartbeat. I looked up at him and I could tell he wanted to kiss me. Just as he leaned in, someone pushed us apart. I swear I wanted to kill these idiots. Katie walked into the kitchen. Looking for a new baby daddy, are you? What if I am? I felt a pang of anger and jealousy. Chris was mine and she couldn't have him. I needed to get away from these psychos. I went to see Dad. It broke my heart to see him like this. Please wake up, Dad. Things are really hard. I can't do this without you. The next couple of days were hell. I was in over my head. The only silver lining to my gloomy days was Eric's texts. He'd been checking on me regularly. What a sweetheart. The next day, Chris picked me up for school. As I sat in the car, he handed me a rose and asked me to be his date for the spring fling dance. I know there's a lot going on right now, but I thought this would take your mind off it for a while. I didn't see that coming. I hadn't told him about Eric, but I just couldn't bring myself to say no to him. He was so sweet. At lunch, I was surprised to see a huge group of guys and cheerleaders gathered at a table. I had no idea what was going on over there, but then I caught sight of her stupid blonde curls. Bree! She was sitting in the middle, and of course, all the boys were drooling over her. Wasn't it enough having to deal with her at home? What are you doing here? You dropped out of high school a long time ago, remember? She just looked at me as if she didn't know me and said, "Leave me alone." That evening, I confronted all of them and asked them to leave. I'd had enough. Ed stood up and I saw the rage on his face. You really think we'll leave without the money? You took Dad, this house, and now you want the money too. You're so greedy. I hope he never wakes up and we never have to see him again. Just give us the money. If you and your mom had stayed out of our lives, we'd still be with Dad. What are you talking about? Dad was just a selfish man who only cared about himself and kept having affairs with other women. Dad took you in when your mom went away. Our mom couldn't deal with seeing you every day. Neither could we. This wasn't true. My dad wasn't like that, and my mom was their mom. This was too much for me to process. I needed fresh air, and I ran out of the house. I bumped into someone. I was about to fall back, but a pair of strong arms grabbed me. Eric! Hey, what's wrong, Miley? I just fell into his arms and sobbed. I was devastated. I told him I didn't know who I could trust anymore. My whole life had just been turned upside down. He looked me in the eye and softly said, "Miley, you can trust me." With that, he kissed me. Oh my God, this was so much better than I had imagined. Miley? I quickly turned around. Chris. He looked at me with pain and disappointment. Chris, but he just turned and walked away. I felt guilty and wanted to run after him, but Eric asked me out for dinner and I excitedly said yes. He kissed my forehead and left. As I entered the kitchen, I froze. Bree and Katie were busy cutting me out of the pictures in the frames. Bree whispered something to Katie and they started laughing. I knew Bree was evil, but they were crossing the line. Ed walked in. You think you're super smart, don't you? Trying to woo the money man and keep us from getting our share? I erupted. I was so angry at how they kept blaming me. I didn't even know any of this, and I wasn't responsible for what Dad did, but you're a constant reminder of it, you selfish girl. I stormed off to my room to try and relax. I got up super early over the weekend and snuck out. With the bombs they dropped on me, I needed to clear my head. I went on the swings like I used to do with Dad. Oh, Dad, I miss you so much. I had to grab onto the chains as someone started to gently push me. Chris! Hey, Chris. You just ran off yesterday. Sometimes, Miley, you're so dumb for a smart girl. I was in no mood for riddles. What do you mean? I care about you, Miles, and I just want to make sure you're okay. Eric isn't a nice guy. But I don't know who to trust except Eric. You do know he's just with you for the money. You're so jealous. I didn't need to stand there and listen to another person telling me what to do. When I got home, everyone was in a frenzy and Katie was screaming. Ed's kids were dancing around shouting, "And Katie's gonna have a baby!" I wanted to go with them to the hospital, but they left me to babysit the kids. Just perfect. I knew it would be a while before everyone got back, so I asked Eric to come over. I quickly changed into something nice and cleaned up the place as much as I could. There was a knock on the door and I rushed to open it. Chris? Why was he everywhere? What are you doing here? I wanted to apologize for this morning. Where is everyone? I told him they'd gone to the hospital with Katie. I don't know which part he thought was an invitation because he just walked straight in and started playing with the kids. They seemed to like him and did as he said. I was kind of glad he was there. Ding dong. Oh shoot, how would I explain everything? I opened the door. Eric looked charming. As we walked into the lounge, Chris and Eric just glared at each other. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Why'd you call me if he was already here? He just showed up. You could have sent him away. Anyway, I have a surprise for you. He told me he had the money and I could pick it up from him tomorrow. Chris was a natural with the kids, but I noticed Eric kept giving them dirty looks and tensing up every time a kid got close to him. I spent the most awkward evening with the two of them. Before Chris left, he warned me about Eric again, and they both left. The next morning, everyone returned with Katie's newborn. He was so tiny and cute. Everyone was so happy for once. If someone saw us, they'd think we were one big happy family. Suddenly, I saw Eric walking up to the front door. I stepped outside to meet him. "You're glowing today. Look how happy everyone is." I turned to him and said that I was thinking of sharing the money with everyone. I was shocked to see Eric suddenly get angry. "Babe, you can't be serious. Why would you give those vultures anything? You should keep it for yourself." Chris's words rang in my ear. Just then, I got a call from the hospital. My heart stopped. As I hung up, I told him Dad was awake and I needed to go. I went in and told everyone that Dad was awake. Surprisingly, they all decided to come with me. Yes, all of us. He was shocked to see everyone there. Seeing you all together again has made me realize how much I missed this. I'm sorry I hurt you, all of you. He turned to Katie and held out his hands. I had never seen Dad so emotional. It was a classic Hallmark moment. He went on to tell us how he had savings and he wanted to include everyone as his heir. Silence took over. You could probably hear a pin drop. No one objected to splitting the money between us and everyone was happy about it. I think that my dad waking up from a coma and seeing Katie's baby gave us the old feeling of being a family again. I told Dad how I'd gone to the attic and contacted Eric like he said, and that he was giving me the money tomorrow. Dad's blood pressure shot up. He said he'd found out before the coma that Eric was cheating him out of his business. Me and Ed decided to go see Eric before it was too late. He wasn't too happy to see us, but quietly handed over the money. You were only with me because of the money, weren't you? I hoped he would deny it, but he just lowered his eyes. I was heartbroken. The next day, we brought Dad home. As we entered the driveway, there he was again, Chris. Bree winked at me and said she'd help Dad inside. I ran to Chris and jumped into his arms. "What? Yeah, you were right. Now just shut up and kiss me, you fool." And we had the most magical kiss anyone can imagine. Aunt Miley is having a baby.